How to have a perfect relationship? That's the question that everybody asking these days. Hi, my name is Helia Singh. I'm a wealth coach. I help people to create a wealthy mindset and a wealthy bank account and investment portfolio so that they can have a, in good life and enjoy their life and live their dreams. As part of our new podcast series, which I'm talking about the relationship or the older coaches in general, and especially the female coaches. So I decided that to have a very, very interesting topic today and talk about relationship because we all know that that is something that no matter what we go through, even if let's say the robot take over or whatever happens, relationship with ourselves, with our people around us, or even with the robot in future, it's all part of it. We cannot deny it unless, like, yes, we are the last person in the world, which again, you have a relationship with yourself. Still, that is important to know how to have a healthy relationship and a happy relationship. So without further ado, I'm inviting our new guest and introducing her, Debbie Rivers from Perth. She is the company called Dare to Date. And please check out her website, her LinkedIn, all the stuff. What she talks about is gold. It actually made me thinking about what I do in life and questioning my boundaries and is what I'm doing, is it correct? Or am I just right on the verge of doing something which is socially not acceptable? So yeah, it's very important to sometimes step back and know and see how we can make it better so then, we have a better life. Welcome, Debbie. Thank you very much for joining our show and very honored to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here talking about my favorite subject in the world.
It is. So, yeah, please tell me all about yourself as a relationship expert. So, what made you, come to this topic, or what's your background? Is one day you just decided to become a relationship expert, or well, have you done any academic work there? So, just tell us a bit story about.
Okay, so it always starts with a personal story. So, as a child, I dreamt of my own happily ever after, the magic of Disney movies. I was going to be married happily ever after. And, I watched my parents growing up and they didn't have a happy relationship. So I was really determined that I wasn't going to do what they did. So when I was the right age of 18, I met my Prince Charming, but I thought I was very particular on the type of guy I wanted to be with and fell in love. But 21 years later, I was miserable. So it wasn't a failed marriage, but for a long time, I was really unhappy. And, I felt like I was living my parents' lives. Like I probably repeated the patterns in relationships that they did. And walking away from my marriage, I was devastated. When people say it's the easiest thing to do, to me, I don't know, I felt like a big fat failure at the one thing that I wanted to do. And, thinking that I was wise at 18 is crazy anyway. But I then went on a mission to work out how I'd failed and how I could not repeat the same patterns because the research says that it's about a third of all first marriages in Australia fail, right? But 60% of second marriages fail and up to 73% of third marriages fail. And the research says that people repeat their patterns. So they either do one of two things. They choose a very similar person or they take their same patterns into the next relationship and they've got more baggage to bring with it. So I did extensive training, extensive training on what that was. I also got back out there and dated, and I found that I had fun dating. I could always get a second date, but I found ways to sabotage it, to find unavailable singles, because to be honest, I was scared of making the same mistakes or being trapped again because it was so hard to leave. So I wanted to know, and the first guy that I wanted to be with, um, he was so much like my ex-husband. And my kids go, he's a chattier version of dad. And I'm like, I didn't cause everyone in my life grief walking away, losing half of my money and having to start again to repeat the same patterns, right? So that's where I went into, it's one thing to choose the person, it's another thing to have the skills in your relationship for it to remain healthy and strong. And, I probably at one point I wanted to believe in love again. I also wanted to, I don't know, I wanted what I'd gone through to have some meaning, so I could help people and make a difference. And I do feel like it's my life's mission, and it's a passion that, yeah, I can't help talking about, whether it's single people, whether it's couples. I love what I do.
Wow, it's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Personally, I just think, well, after the first one, the second and third, what's the point? What's the point of getting married the second or third? The first one was a failure anyway, I mean, in my view. So why to bother that again? But no, it's great. So that means, in your view, that there are hopes.
Oh, there are hopes. And
Okay.
I do think if people do the work and kind of have some of those tools, like, I've done a lot of training now with the Gottman Institute, and they've studied relationships and what works. They had a love lab where they put couples in, and they would, over 40 years. So they give people tools and tricks of how you can maintain that healthy relationship. So I like to share those with people so they have the skills, because the research says most couples only spend an average of 10 minutes a day talking to each other, and that's usually about their to-do list or the kids. Nothing
Yeah,
important,
I
right?
believe that. Yes.
More time on social media. So how do you have this wonderful relationship
Yeah,
in less than 10 minutes a day?
absolutely, absolutely. Honestly, I believe these informations would have been more handy for people who are about to get into a relationship, or if in the beginning of a relationship. For people who are already going through troubles in marriage and then go and see someone, I feel by that time it's too late, because there are so many resentments built up that you don't want to even fix it anymore. You just want it out. Yeah, or you
Yeah.
just think it's not worth it, or how to get back on that relationship again. But
Yeah.
if you knew these things now, so that's why, I mean, what you are teaching and how you are helping people, to me, is just, even if it can somehow be introduced to kids at high school, because that's the time that they started dating and their first relationship, but at least they will learn those tools and skills. So then
Yes.
by the time they are in a serious relationship, they can really build a nice one. Because to me, divorce and of course, failing relationship are causing more economical damage. And of
Yes.
course, both in terms of money and even the mind and health and all those mental health that causes by divorce and bad relationship, that how to fix it is more costlier than how we can actually do it from beginning to help people to have a fulfillment in life. You don't have to go through all those trouble to find a way. No, that's amazing. It's amazing. Do you have anything like that for the young people to
Not at the
receive?
moment, but I would love to do that, because at the moment we do tend to copy our parents' examples. And if they're healthy relationships, great, but if they're not, we tend to just carry that dysfunction through. And
Yeah.
and like I say, you're right. Like, the average couple only seeks help after 7 years, and it's too late. If people went into relationships knowing some of the tools and the tricks, and do you know what? 69% of conflict in a relationship can't be solved, which is really high. Only 30%. So when you know that, because you often are in a relationship with someone quite opposite to you, and you can't solve their personality. If you're an introvert, they're an extrovert, you argue about who they are, it doesn't work. So even knowing that, you go, okay, there's that thing. You don't argue about it anymore. And loving and accepting each other makes it easier. But yeah, I wish they taught it in schools. I wish there was a program.
I can see that. I already vision it, that you will be out there and helping the young ones to really know that, okay, dating is not about just their hormones is telling them what to do. Is that they really actually experience life and a good relationship. And I know, because my son just started dating last year, and just finished high school, and I kept telling him, don't do the mistake that I did. Don't do this. All I can tell him is just don't do the wrong things. But I don't know what is the right thing to teach him.
Yeah.
And having someone like you to help the young ones, I think that's the goal. And we all know kids don't want to listen to their parents, so they want to learn it from others. So that would be amazing. And I really appreciate it. And another thing, and the other day I read one of your article was about micro cheating. Oh my God, that was mind blowing. So what's your definition of cheating? I mean, look, we are experts. Obviously, we put a lot of content out there. And and we have male colleagues and friends through networking or, clients. So what if somebody likes your message or love it, doesn't mean anything? I mean, or,
No.
Okay.
Do you know, like micro cheating is small, inappropriate actions with someone other than your partner that crosses a line. So it's usually something inappropriate. And if that would disrupt the trust from your partner or upset them, then it's micro cheating. So people will often say, well, I didn't do anything physical, so what's the harm? But I often think it's the intent that comes behind it, right? So if your marriage is going through a hard time and all of a sudden you're messaging someone and then it starts to get inappropriate, it makes you feel good, they're giving you compliments, you're hiding what you're doing from your partner, it's in troubled grounds. Whereas a little bit of flirting is, I don't see any harm, but most couples don't have the conversation about what's cheating and what's not cheating. Because, there's lots of stories that I've had where, the guy was talking to multiple people and he goes, well, there's nothing wrong with that. I didn't do anything. But I think your intent and what your line and what your boundary around cheating is. And the evidence, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot. The evidence is that micro cheating leads to cheating, but it doesn't have to. So I think message as if your partner would see what you're doing. So there's no secrets. And the other thing I know that people do is if there's, maybe you've got one partner that's jealous. So you go, I'm just not going to bother. It's not worth the conflict. But if they find out you've been chatting to someone for 6 months and not telling them, they're going to feel betrayed. So it's kind of, I don't know, like the honesty on your boundaries and talking about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Especially
if you're liking someone's post at 2:00 in the morning, you might want to question why you're doing that. So, it's kind of certain actions or, telling someone else they're beautiful and hot is probably not something you would want your partner to be doing, is it?
Exactly. I totally agree with you. Yes, even if you have to message someone privately, if it's something that you wouldn't do it in an open forum, so to me, why do you have to DM the person or send a message and put this comment? So put the same comment if you think is nothing wrong and you have a good intent, which the intent, I think that's the keyword, and I love that. If the intent is good, why didn't you put it on the page that everybody can see it? Because your intention was right.
And for couples, what I think is that I love the word courting, right? So when you first meet someone, you prioritize courting, fun, romance, good sex. But as time goes by, it's less than 10 minutes a day, more time on social media. You stop giving compliments, genuine compliments. And it's those small things often that make a difference in a relationship. And if you're not giving your partner some of that positive compliments, someone else might. And they might be vulnerable to that because there's times where we don't feel like we look as good. There's times where we don't feel good about ourselves. And if our partner's helping fill that cup, great. We're not vulnerable to those random comments. But if you get busy in life and you've forgotten those nice things, and I do think of a couple's going through a hard time. If you went back to the beginning and did what you did when you were trying to win them over, you'd have no problems. Like if for 2 weeks you did everything he wanted, he did everything she wanted. But usually they'll have resentment. Well, I'm not doing that because they don't do this. But if you went back to those basics, everything comes back. And, where people aren't having sex, they forget the stepping stones to having sex, all of those compliments, those nice things that you do for each other leads to all of the other wonderful things in your relationship.
Wow, that's amazing. So what I'm hearing from you is even for those who are having lots of trouble or they think their marriage cannot be saved. So I urge you to definitely contact Debbie because maybe there is still hope. So you never know because there are a lot of these little things that it's not about what to do or not to do. It's just about how to see it from each other's view. Like what you mentioned about cheating. In one partner's view is they are not cheating, but the other person feel betrayed. So yes, we are not responsible for the people's feeling, but at the same time, when you are in a relationship, you need to think and you need to put those boundaries and redefine it, especially the way that the world is going, the technology happening. So, okay, where is the definition? Because definition of many things have changed now. We live in that era. So, and now we need to redefine it. What is being honest? What is this? What that? So, and that could be even like having a drink without telling your partner, that could be a cheating. So the cheating doesn't need to be just, with someone else and, having a relationship or in my line of work, when I see people who hide money from their partner.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay? Or they go spend or they send it overseas or the things that they do. And I see it, people and they are looking at their money and finance. And then I said, this guy, okay, but you need this much for this project. And then he said, oh, I've got another 100,000 euro, but I don't want my wife to know. I said, oh my God, how I'm going to help them and how to say that where the money came from, And so, oh no, I thought it's good that I keep this money for myself aside. Even though I'm a big believer that everybody needs to have their own bank account and do things, but there are things that at the same time you need to be open about it, not to be hiding and God knows how that money came in, that's a different story about money laundering and stuff. That's different. But yes, we can see where the relationship actually fails because you see that dishonesty, not no transparency and hiding things from each other. Thank you so much for that.
Do you think that then there's financial cheating too? So there's emotional cheating, financial cheating. There are so many, and people don't have some of these bigger conversations about the things that really matter. I know couples that don't know what the other person earns after 10 years, and I'm like, I don't think I'd be okay with that.
Absolutely. And that's why, one of my lines that I love when it comes to Valentine's Day, so to people, I know you all are now in a great mood to go and celebrate. Love is in the air and all of things, but please have a money conversation before you do anything. So yes, really just think about that until death do us apart or death do us apart. Because often we see is the death that makes them apart, not the death. So let's be realistic about these things, even though it's all, especially for ladies, we grew up like that, say, oh, we want to have a happily ever after, and we are waiting for the Prince Charming and the life that we build in our dreams or in our mind. So just let's be realistic. Those days are gone. And that's why, thanks God, these days, they don't show those kind of movies and animation anymore. It's all about empowerment and you have the same right and you can have the same decision. But before, you're sitting that you need someone to come and rescue you. So a lot has changed. A lot has changed. Yeah. And I loved your other interview at the morning show. Please tell us a bit about that one. I'm so excited.
That one was the micro cheating one. So
okay, you also talked about that because I know I read your article, but then because when they were talking to you about the micro cheating and when you mentioned that, so to me it was because definitely the article where it just made me thinking, am I doing the right thing or not? But in your show, I loved it. And that's why I just said to people, make sure you go watch it and at the same time read it. because you'll learn more about it, and even you'll question yourself, and yeah, just try to at least to put the boundaries and having the better relationship with yourself to see, am I doing the right thing? Forget about the partner and other people. No, thank you so much for that. Any, of course, last wisdom and a juicy secret that you can give my audience?
Do you know, there are
Good
there are
relationship.
so many things. Do you know, like I would always say that for the single people listening, what I find people want to do is they want this instant chemistry and instant connection, right? The reality is only 11% of people feel instant chemistry when they meet their partner, which means 89% don't. So meeting someone, I think they said the average date people assess in 25 minutes whether they've got chemistry or not. That's not enough time, right? And sometimes chemistry can be an indicator of your past patterns. We can feel insane chemistry for someone that's not good for us. Getting to know someone over time, and chemistry can and does grow when you know someone. So those instant decisions are keeping a lot of people single, is my biggest tips. And I do find with repeating patterns, very hot chemistry can be a sign that you're about to repeat a pattern.
Oh wow, who knew? Oh my gosh.
And don't get me wrong, you have to have chemistry, but you need the 3 C's. So you need chemistry, you need compatibility, and you need someone that's ready for a commitment. You know, any two of those, chemistry, compatibility, someone that doesn't want to commit, heartache. Chemistry,
Absolutely.
commitment with no compatibility, also heartache. And for the couples listening, I think that go back to the basics. And there's 2 books that I would recommend for anyone listening, for any couples, and they're by John and Julie Gottman. One is the Going on 8 Dates. So it specifies 8 specific dates that you go on. It gives you a chapter to read. It also gives you the questions and where you should go on the date. So they have the bigger conversations about going and talking about your sex life on a date, talking about money, talking about your dreams, talking about your definition of commitment. And, you know, it gives you the framework to be able to do it. And just by doing those dates, you have a better relationship. The other one that they've got is love prescriptions. So they just give you simple things that if you do, your relationship improves. And they've got one hack in there that the couples that are successful do, and it increases their relationship. So what it is, very briefly, is, you know, when your partner might be saying something, maybe they're reading a book and they go, look at this, or look at this on telly, or remember this. It's called a bid for connection. So the people who respond to their partner's bids for connections, 80% of the time, are going to have a successful relationships. The ones that only respond 33% of the time end up divorced. So it's those simple responding bids for attention. Whereas if you ignore them or turn away, and what they found is by just responding to those, you know, bids for connection, people can improve their relationship just by doing that. So small things often.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to get those books and read it myself. and and then, yeah, and give it to people that I know that they need to read it. Thank you so much for that. So, well, that's a good thing to know that there are hopes for everyone, whether you are married, single, been in a relationship, or you're done with it, or you just think that's it. So, yeah, it's good. But any tips on how to have a good relationship with yourself?
Okay. Do you know, I think with yourself, I think it's really important. I don't think you necessarily have to fully love yourself to get a relationship, but we accept the love we think we deserve. So if we don't feel good about ourselves, we're likely to get someone in our life who agrees with us. You know, if we don't love ourselves, they might not love us how we want to be loved. So people get confused. Like there's self-care, there's self-love, and there's self-worth. You need all of them. So I kind of think of it a bit like love languages. You
Wow.
know, you need to be saying nice words to yourself. You need to be doing nice things for yourself, and showing yourself love. And I don't think we ever get to a point, you know, I do work with my clients to love themselves first because I think it's a game changer. But love is an action, love is something we do. So we never get to a place where, you know, do you know what I mean? Love is, sometimes you think, I have love. Well, it's not a coffee cup, it's not an object, it's an action. You
So,
know, how are you loving yourself today? If you make a mistake, do you go, you stupid idiot? Or you just go, oh, it's okay. You know, like a kid, give yourself a hug. So I think it's how you treat yourself. What words are you saying to yourself? How are you feeling about yourself? And what I know, I love the Viking saying is something about everyone gets their destiny when they embrace their weird. And the Viking word weird, I think it's WRYD. The English changed to weird, are weird.
yeah,
But when we embrace the truly unique, weird part of us, that's where our destiny is. And accepting that we're all different, we're all wonderful, is a game changer when it comes to our relationship. So you're not looking for the other person to feel good about yourself all the time, because that's a really hard call on anyone if you're an emotional, you know,
it's
base.
exhausting.
It's
It is.
exhausting, yeah. So I
It's,
mean, you're going to have times where one person feels better than the other, but I think the most important relationship we have is the one we have with ourselves.
hallelujah to that. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Debbie. I really appreciate your wisdom and your time being here. And I'm sure we're going to have this conversation again because we're planning to have later on have a more like a round table or let's say a square table on Zoom with more experts in the same topic. And yes, let's have this conversation, take it to the next level. And just, I really appreciate your time. And yeah, and I hope to have you again in our show in the future.
It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you.
And please, audience, I hope you got so much value as much as I did. I don't know whether you're single again or in a relationship, but yeah, please listen to Debbie's wise word. Please get those books, and we're going to put Debbie's details in the caption so you can get in touch with her and really see it for yourself. So before you give up, that's one thing you owe it to yourself. Just try it one last time with Debbie. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye for now.